Look, I'm going to keep this short, sweet, to the point. Halo is one of my favorite gaming IPs, and 343 has utterly destroyed it, and I think we're going to all agree. Now, granted, 343 has rebranded and turned into Halo Studios, and I've seen a lot of people hit an Xperia Mint. They're like, yo, this is a good thing. Don't listen to it for a freaking second. It is still the same people under a different face making Halo games. Is it refreshing that they're going to the Unreal Engine? Yes. Way easier to use. More developers know how to use it. It's a universal tool. Halo should have always been on the Unreal Engine. Instead, their boneheaded decision said, no, we're better than that. We're going to make the Slipspace engine. We don't even know how to be engineers, but we're going to do this and work on Halo Infinite at the same time. And look where it has led. And the last thing before we get into this video, one of these projects they're not working on is a goddamn Halo Battle Royale or the new wave, which feels like it's coming up as extraction shooters. If we're not getting a solid, robust one of these, Halo Studios is gonna fail too. The fuck?
Take one, Mark.
I was told that I can just be my authentic self, Chris.
Okay, so that we're getting an update supposedly on the state of the studio.
When you play Halo, that I feel like I never run out of things to do.
I love
Look at him, he's drooling.
stories
Oh
that
my
talk
God.
about different worlds,
I did
lots
not
of
see
unique
that coming.
characters. What made Halo successful at the
Dude.
beginning? What is the legacy of Halo?
Somebody-
And what's the soul that we want to bring forward? And what's the craft of making Halo games? And
Dude,
how
that's
do we set our
disgusting.
studio at best to go deliver on that?
I want to hear what this is about.
Sure.
When I first heard about Halo moving on Unreal Engine, my first thought was this is going to be a really hard secret to keep.
I think fans are going to be excited about the future.
So
of
Halo's moving to
because
Unreal?
Of the possibilities that are afforded us by using Unreal.
Before we really
Ah,
had to
so they're
start
finally going away from the
about
Slipspace
building an
engine, huh?
Supporting it, being really kind of a tech company and a studio at the same time.
Wow.
Since we've made the change to shift to UE, we can bring Halo forward in ways that people have never seen before while still being true to what Halo is.
It should never been on the Slipspace engine to begin with. It should have always been on Unreal Engine 5 or Unreal Engine.
Things Using Unreal
These are
5.
just boneheaded decisions to not use this engine.
And said, hey, I have this crazy idea.
He said, hey, there's this thing called Project Foundry that I want to do. Let's make it
What about
happen."
Tatanka?
Foundry specifically is based around the same concept of the Foundry in Halo lore. It's the place where Halo rings are born. It's not a game, it's a research project for our studio so we can prepare ourselves for the next steps of making Halo games.
I mean, Unreal Engine looks unreal, right? Like, we could all agree to this. Oh, the flood covering. That's kind of cool.
The original Halo franchise was a graphic showcase. It was best in class. That's what Halo was when it first was released, and that's what Halo needs to be again.
Was best in class? That's fair. Best in class shooter, best in class story. Look at this. Look at this. But that's not game. That's just
So
3D
once Project
rendering.
Foundry had been
I don't want to.
approved,
That's
we
not
took the
impressive at
entire
all.
creative team and we ideated on 3 locations, something old, something new, and something really alien.
We had the Pacific Northwest, which is sort of traditional Halo biome.
We were
Yep.
trying to shove as much foliage in there as humanly possible to make it really feel like you're on a hike in the, Cascades.
The Cold Lands,
well,
which was
that's
the second
not what I
biome
wanna
we
hear.
took on. It was more of a technical showcase where we could play with shaders, we could play with
Very cool.
deformable landscapes and terrains. Unreal affords us more opportunity than we've ever had in the past.
On the surface, it might just look all like snow, but how many layers of things combine to really give that winter look?
Wow.
And then our third biome was the Blight Lands.
That looks really
which
good.
is any land that's been completely taken over by the flood.
I wanted to give our team the opportunity.
That's
to
cool.
really
This is the
express
coolest part.
An alien world, a really alien world.
The flood
Taking
taking
something
over a
way further
world,
than they would
that's
have
cool.
actually Done in previous
That's
Halo
very
games.
cool. I like that.
What impressed me about watching the Halo team work in Unreal is how beautiful everything looks, how incredible the environments look.
Well,
I don't
Unreal
think we've
Engine is
seen
literally
anything quite
Unreal.
like it in Unreal Engine before.
fortunately, we have a studio that's really passionate about Halo, about the look and the feel, and I think there's a lot of hunger to really collaborate, to move forward together.
Foundry was an initiative that touched on every part of the creative process, everything from concept art, VFX, characters, vehicles, and weapons to make the future games of Halo.
Creating an asset, taking
Wow,
this design,
the Magnum
now
pistol.
we can really dig into material foundations.
I love
What is
it.
it actually made of? How is it physically accurate to the world? Now we get to take all the wonderful.
Look at that
legacy
energy
assets
sword.
that we have,
Wow, that's cool.
Bring them to life and bring them to today's.
But once
standards.
more, these are just work in progress content. This isn't gameplay. This is just a still image on a computer
We are
of 3D
really
renders,
excited
and they're
to
just moving a
be
camera
not just
around. So
working on
don't.
multiple projects, but also
That's not
expanding
gameplay.
our
Don't
studio.
get it
As a
twisted.
lifelong Halo player, I think the game's only going to get better when we get those new, unique perspectives and people bring in their expertise and passion for the Halo franchise.
We are looking for new talent as the projects that we're working on kind of get further and further into their development cycles.
And it is great to be part of a team that's growing because you can kind of see that force multiplied as people come in and take on challenges and you can do more.
Imagine a place where you have the commitment that this is what we want to do, Halo games, and create those experiences. And you can
It's not
express
reassuring because
the talent,
343
the
is
creativity, and
not been
professional
a good
ambitions
good
in that
track
place.
record so far.
Designers, we're looking for artists, we're looking for engineers.
It feels
They
like
just
a
laid
new
everybody
beginning
off.
for the studio in a lot of ways, and I think that's pretty rare.
And I think we arrived now at a point where you see the beginnings of people to start to believe in the process.
There's so much momentum that we have right now, and focus and clarity on not just what we're building, but why we're building, and kind of this next phase of Halo.
The worlds that we're building.
I wonder what the next phase is
the
going to be.
stories that we're going after.
And what happened to Project Tatanka?
Potential at Halo right now is huge.
Halo Infinite was the last remnants of how we made Halo games in the past. That was our recipe. And what we are doing right now, we're changing that recipe.
That's slightly reassuring that we're getting a new direction for Halo because the current direction has not been good. So what is this? Halo Studios? Oh, so 343 is now Halo Studios. I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm not going to sit here and just be swooned by that.
Sufficient body chills have been in effect for sure. I'm sure in the whole of this room going crazy.
I don't know how I
during
feel
that
about
focus
this.
at home. It was electric in here,
I don't think this
rightfully
is such a
so.
good thing.
That final screen, Halo Studios. Is this a rebrand?
I would rather talk about chapters. So I'm very much aware that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. We had the first chapter, which was Bungie, the second chapter, which is 343, and I think what you see is the beginning of our chapter, which is the Halo Studios chapter. But from my perspective, I think it is just an immense honor for me to be able to carry that torch and continue being representative for this amazing, amazing franchise.
Yeah, there have been few studios who have produced this legendary title. How do you see this change adding to that legacy?
I think what we've started with, specifically Halo Infinite, was a path of trying to be more frequent where our players are expecting us to be, and more importantly, where we expect them to play in the future. So that means that's a perfect moment to transition onto Unreal, and the rebranding of the studio is a perfect moment for us to start that chapter, and I think everyone is very, very excited about it, and I think what we just showed gives you an insight of where our heads are.
Let's get back to what we just saw because there's so much to unpack here. Brian, first and foremost, Unreal. Oh my goodness. Okay, so many questions. The implications. How does this work? What does it do for Halo now?
Well, I mean, on one hand, a lot of you, it's not our first time doing a little dance with Unreal. We actually have a little bit Unreal that kind of crept into MCC back in the day. I've been on Halo for a long time. I think from my perspective, what's most
I don't
exciting
understand why
is
Unreal wasn't
really
used in the first
unleashing
place.
team to
It was
just
really
be
just, to
creatives,
me, be an ego
crafting
thing of
experiences,
creating your own
not
engine
having
and
to
doing
be
it.
a tech company anymore, frankly.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Some big words that. And talking about creatives and empowering creatives.
Way to talk
what
about
does that
your
do
past
for
like
you,
that.
Chris, and your team.
Yeah, well, obviously Unreal is an incredible tool in its own right, but for us, it's way more than that. It's about how we're working and about how we're projecting the future of making Halo games.
Chris, Project Foundry, something that we just saw in this video moments ago. What is it? Why?
Well, it's a test bed that we put together so our own creatives could see what they could do when they were kind of unhindered by using a proprietary game engine and see what they could do in Unreal 5.
And what was expected coming out of Foundry, Brian? You know, was this something that you guys wanted to work on further? You know, how did you envision it?
Well, I mean, it was initially an internal-only facing project, right? But
What?
Of course,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give the community what they want. People are hungry; they're a little thirsty out there. They want to see what the studio's been cooking. So, super excited to.
That's a polite way to
share a
say
little
that.
bit of a look
With
behind
the
the curtain and what the team's been.
The reality is 343 is dying, and they need to rejuvenate the will of the player base. And quite frankly, I don't think this is it. And having smart-ass comments like that is only going to piss people off who are actual Halo fans.
To believe in the process which we established over the last 2 years. I had a conversation the other day with one of my former bosses, and he described the situation as Pierre and the studio is pouring the foundation. That's exactly what we're doing, and now the next step is building on that foundation. It's an amazing, exciting time, but the studio is growing, and the team needs to grow because there are some things which I think I'm not going to talk about. I think I'll let you talk about.
Yeah, team is growing, guys. What does that mean?
Well, we have multiple projects in development, as we've been saying, right? So as we heard on the video, we're looking for a little bit of everything. We got job openings right now. We got more to come, but this is kind of us letting the industry know. We changed the recipe, as Pierre said. We're looking for people that are passionate about Halo to join us in this next chapter.
That's right. We have multiple titles in development. There's a huge amount of momentum, and we are very excited.
I think everyone else is too, Chris. They are unbelievably excited. When might we hear more about these projects?
Well, I'll just give the old classic line, they're ready when they're ready. You know, we want to let the team have some time to kind of keep cooking. I do just want to kind of remind folks, though, still lots of cool things on the horizon for Halo Infinite. Our next operation,
No one gives a
Halloween,
fuck.
just a few days away. That's going to be a fun Halloween-themed.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck,
that'll be
brother.
Really kind of featuring the return
The
of
fact that that's not out right now, why isn't that out right now? It's October 6th. That should be out on October 1st, you
A couple new
idiots.
surprises, including third-person firefight. We're excited to bring a new way to play to Halo Infinite.
Love that so much. Now, as we bring this chapter to a close and start a new one, Chris, how excited is the team to continue what they've been building behind the scenes here?
Oh, incredibly. Project Foundry was never actually meant to be public-facing, but like Brian said, we really wanted to give the community a bit of a glance of what we're doing behind the curtains. But it's been a really, really busy time. We're super eager to be growing the studio, and I just want to take a moment actually to thank the team back at Halo for really
This guy
committing
and
to this
Pierre are
project.
solid.
It's
Get
huge
John
for
out.
us.
He's been in there too long. Get out.
Certainly is indeed. Pierre, finally.
Sorry,
is there
brother.
anything
You've
that
done a
you'd
lot
like
of
to
good.
say
You've run
to
your
the
course.
community before we don't see you for another 3 years?
I like the 3 years idea, simply because this is not my world, this is their world. No, but I really wanted to point out what an amazing event, how everyone showed up and supports Halo still. This is, for me, every single year humbling for me to see that. I'm amazingly grateful for that. The key really is there's going to be an HES next year, so again, something to look forward to. But I think the key, which I really wanted to land was...
So we're getting
thank
another
you
year of
to the
HES?
fans. Thank you for the
See
people
how-
who give us the opportunity to express ourselves.
Wow, that's kinda
Thank you to the
crazy.
studio, and I'm looking forward
I was
to
really hoping
having
they
a
would move
great
on and move
future
to the
with
next
everyone.
chapter.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Lastly, gents, are you ready for this grand finals of another Halo World Championship?
Oh, yeah.